Hi everyone, Ben here from the Ranked Podcast. Today I'm joined with Zach. Zach has a super interesting story that he'll share with us today on how he managed to make $40,000 in just 4 months through a niche site. Zach, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, I'm super excited to do this. So a little introduction how I actually found Zach. I believe it was YouTube. So thanks YouTube for recommending a video. He posted a very interesting video which will be linked in the description, where he talks about on how he acquired a site, uh, grew it, but not through like the SEO means, right? It's very important to note that when Zach was going into that site, he didn't have much SEO experience. And what he did, and he actually increased the revenue without really increasing the traffic of the site. So it's a super interesting story. Maybe if we just start off with a little introduction, tell us who you are, what you do, how you got into everything. I think that would be super good.
So, as Ben mentioned, my name is Zach Zorn. I live in Southern California. I got into the online space in about 2017 through Amazon FBA selling. So, that was my first introduction to making money online. Then, during that, I was like, okay, well, there's got to be I don't know about easier, but maybe a safer and a more interesting way to make money online. And that's when I came across Empire Flippers. And I found their marketplace and that you could buy already profitable content websites, SaaS businesses, whatever it might be. And so I became super focused in content sites, monetized through affiliate networks and advertising. So at the time, I did not know much about Empire Flippers. There wasn't too much information online, but they seemed reputable. And I took the plunge and I just started to look every single Monday for a new content site that might fit my needs. And it took me maybe 3 or 4 months, and I finally found one. And I ended up buying my first content site for $49,000.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so first off, you started with Amazon FBA. I think it's one of the most like, wow, along with dropshipping, one of those two models, right? That are super, super popular, hyped up, and
Yeah,
everything. It kind of
yeah,
got all of us into to this online business thing, if you can say it like that.
totally.
Cool. So did you have any previous businesses, online businesses before that? Did you start it on your own before buying this one?
No, so this is my first online business apart from the Amazon FBA business that I started. And again, thanks to YouTube, that's the only reason why you and I are even having this conversation is YouTube opened me to the world of online businesses, Amazon content sites. So shout out YouTube. Um, but no, I had no online business experience prior to this. I had worked for an app development company, so I had some technical knowledge of user experience, things like that. But I'd never owned a website. I've made like Wix websites and stuff in the past prior to this, of course, but I had no technical website or SEO experience prior to buying the tech review site from Empire Flippers.
Right, right. What about digital marketing? Any kind of experience from that?
No experience. I had experience like selling bicycles on Craigslist, which is kind of like an in-person eBay that we have. Uh, and that was all like physical in-person advertising and things. So no, there was nothing related to online. So it was a whole new world.
Right. So what actually inspired you to pull the trigger on the site? I mean, it was $49,000, right?
It
That
was, yes.
that is a lot of money, especially just jumping into the first thing. So what kind of inspired you to go in?
You know, I had a lot of faith in the Empire Flippers brokerage just after reading some things online, talking to some of their sales guys. So that gave me the confidence to send the money. But what also gave me the confidence to actually buy the site was I knew that I had the drive and motivation to learn what I needed to make it successful. I didn't think I would flip the website in just several months and make a pretty substantial profit. And when I was buying it, I was thinking for a long term hold. And I knew there was a lot I didn't know, but I had the time and I was willing to learn. So putting those two together gave me the confidence to buy the site. Plus, I just have a passion for technology, as probably most of your listeners do. So you mix those three things together, and I thought I had a winning combination.
Right, right. So initially you bought the site for $49,000. I believe it was making about 1,700, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
an average. Cool. So those are the first two stats. What about the later on? So you increased the earnings to what exactly, and for how much did you end up selling it?
So the site was listed, I believe, at like 65,000. I offered 49,000, and I actually bought it on January 1st, New Year's of 2018. A good way to start the year.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, like you said, the site was making about 1,700. I think at its peak, I got it up to 2,200 to maybe 2,500 a month, maybe about 2,500 a month in just like 1 month after owning it. Um, and then I ended up selling it for, I listed it for 85, and then it sold for like 80,000 within 3 to 4 months. If you include the migration, it was about 4 months from buy to sell. But there was some low hanging fruit opportunities that I saw when I was vetting the site to buy, and that
Right.
became even more apparent once I bought it. So I was able to quickly change it to a different affiliate program, sell some ad space that
Right.
really drove
Right.
profitability up.
Right. Yeah, this was when watching the video, like my mind was blown, right? So initially as like an SEO, I go in, technical SEO, keywords, how can I add links? How can I boost it up just from the SEO perspective? Then how maybe we can add different channels, traffic channels. But then you started talking about these 4 different tactics that you used. And I think
Yeah.
it would be best if you just go over these 4 tactics and we kind of cover them on how you approached everything, because you have a really interesting approach, and I think people will really enjoy hearing about it.
So just so to drive the point home that I had literally no SEO experience, I had never used Ahrefs. So Ahrefs is now my SEO tool.
Right.
Years later, I use it all the time. But prior, I had never used it to buying the site. And I thought that when you did keyword research and the number that comes up, the keyword difficulty, that number just meant how many times you had to use the word in your article to rank. I quickly learned that was not right, but that was how much SEO experience
Right.
that I had.
Right.
So I had to jump into things I did know how to do, which was what, and I thought was to increase profitability with like simple changes that I could do in the back end. So one of the things I did was I moved uh, from a third party, like from ShareASale. I was part of a tech affiliate manufacturer because the website did tech reviews for drones, printers, 3D or action cameras, things like that. So I moved away from ShareASale, and the manufacturer I was advertising had their own affiliate network on their website. So by simply moving from ShareASale to their network, uh, I increased the revenue by like 10% just because the commission was greater.
Right. Right.
Something else I did was I sold dedicated ad space. So instead of having the Google ads, and again, I had to, or would be AdSense ads. Instead of hosting AdSense ads, I didn't realize that you had to have an approved account before you bought the site. And I
Right.
didn't have an approved account. So day one, they're like, hey, well, you can't run ads because your account's not approved. I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I sold that ad space on a per monthly basis, anywhere from $250 a month to $600 a month. And I
Right.
would also make it be a 3 month minimum. So I would get 3 months worth of cash up front.
Right.
Uh, it did some email pop-ups that people could sponsor with some product giveaways. So those were just a couple things I did that required very little technical skills and more business marketing acumen.
Right, right. Yeah, that one that you kind of switched out from using Google Ads to just selling the advertising space was super like interesting idea. But I'm wondering how did you go about doing that? I'm guessing you kind of outreached to people that already had to manufacture that were like had their products reviewed on your site, and just
Yeah.
kind of offered them like an opportunity. Is that how it went?
Exactly. So I reached out to the top couple manufacturers on the website and said, hey, we've got an X amount of millions of page views to your articles. Would you be interested in an ad? I also, in moving from ShareASale over to the other affiliate program, had become acquaintances with the affiliate manager at that
Hmm.
company. So I was able to reach out to her and let her know of my ad opportunity, which she jumped on as well. So
Hmm.
I just leveraged everybody on the site that I was already talking about and just reached back out to them, and it worked well.
Right, right. And do you maybe have like any idea of how many people you reached out to and how many replied with like an interested or like let's go for it?
Yeah, so I reached out to three companies, and two of the three said, let's go for it, and signed up right away to have some ad space. There was a little bit of back and forth negotiating pricing and terms and things like that. But at the end of the day, I was able to get it all worked out. And how I looked at it was pure profit, right? So even if it was only $100 a month that I was making from the ad space, it required about an hour's worth of work to set up, if that. These
Right.
companies would also, most of the time, give me their own ads, their own like graphical ad units. I didn't have to create it because they wanted their marketing team to do it. So it was literally just plug and play. And lots of times they'd even let me use my affiliate link within the
I was
ad.
just
So I
about
was
to ask
making
that.
money per month with the ad, and then also I got the affiliate commission.
That's
And they
amazing.
all knew about this. It was totally approved, and they loved it because I was driving a decent amount of volume to them.
Right, right. That's amazing. Another point that really surprised me, and I thought it was just a genius idea, is the fact that you use AdWords ads to basically drive traffic, paid traffic to the articles that were doing well,
Mhm.
and kind
Yeah.
of you managed to raise the revenue of the site that way. If you could
Yeah.
elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there and I wasn't ranking number one for a couple articles, but these articles were highly profitable. So I thought, okay, what if I boosted these with AdWords ads, right? And I did it. And those articles, I keep trying to recall, I did the math and I think it went up 40 to 60% in profitability by running ads targeting the keywords within those articles.
Right,
So it was a tremendous increase. I also experimented with running some Facebook ads. What I did find, though, that your viewers might find interesting is I had review style articles on my website, but then I had like upgrade articles where you could have a 3D printer, but then people were looking for ways to upgrade it. Those upgrade articles were more profitable, in my opinion, than the review articles because the people looking for the upgrades, I think, were super into the buying mindset because they were ready to upgrade.
right.
So by boosting those with ads, those were more profitable than boosting the review style.
Right. And what were you using to kind of track the exact commission to the article that was kind of driving the sales?
Their affiliate platform had a little bit of rudimentary tracking,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was also I had paper. I would hand do it with paper. I would print out calendars, literally like a printed out calendar, label the article at the top, and every day I would tally it and write it down in each of the day squares, and then I would summarize it each week, each month, and then put those together to analyze it.
Right.
So
So each article also had its unique like tracking code, I'm guessing.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
So there was a way to track all that.
Right. Right.
Because I try to be analytical with my decision making, and lots of times what I think will work well doesn't actually work. So I try to let the data speak for itself. So that's why
Right.
I try to do as much tracking as I can to find connections and
Mm-hmm.
things.
And for the ads, how much did you end up like spending per day or per month? Like from what I'm seeing, it's like now basically $1. I rarely see 50 cents per click, even on like info articles, in lots of cases. So I'm wondering how much you end up spending.
I think I was only spending up to like $15 a day. When I was running the Facebook ad for the upgrade article, it was 2 cents a click. And my only thinking on that is because it wasn't a article about buying something,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe Facebook knew that and knew it was strictly like a helpful piece of content. I don't know why it was so inexpensive, but it
Mm-hmm.
was dirt cheap. And I've never been able to get that sort of cost again in any of my websites and any ads I've ran. It's always like you said, 25 cents to over $1 a click.
Right.
So I don't know why, but it was dirt cheap.
Right. Right. Interesting. Very interesting. And there's, I believe you did something else. So you kind of switched out. You were able to track. So if someone was viewing a drone article, you were just displaying on the side drone like banners.
Yeah.
if I believe correctly. And then you were kind of driving the sales once again. Was the banner provided by the company, or was it just like you trying to generate additional sales to get a higher commission?
So I was thinking, well, if someone's on, say, a drone article and I'm serving them an action camera ad, that doesn't really make sense, right? The
Right.
person is there for drones. So I had a programmer write a script that would know there was like an ID for the page, so knew that it was under the drone category and would make the banner on the side a drone related banner. That banner was most of the time provided by the manufacturer, but if they didn't have one, then I would make it in Canva and try to make it elegant and things. And I found the conversion rate increased 20% or so by serving an ad banner that was relevant to the content.
Right.
So, and I see a lot of people not doing this, and it's a pretty easy change you can do to your site that will have lasting positive effects forever.
And do you have the sidebar? I mean, do you have like the banner only in the sidebar, or also in the middle of the content?
It was only in the sidebar, and then there was one anchored in the header at the top. That
Mm-hmm.
one was static. That always stayed the same,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just in the sidebar. Looking back, I probably should have put some banners in the content,
It's
but
interesting,
again,
yeah,
I
because
didn't.
the sidebar kind of disappears on mobile, right? You have to go all the way to the bottom in most WordPress themes to kind of see it. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so it's kind of interesting how it ended up working out.
So I wonder how much I could have made. Again, I was new. I didn't realize all this sort of thing. I was always working on the website on desktop where the banner's there, right?
Right,
But then, like you
right.
said, you go on mobile, it's down at the bottom. So in hindsight, I should have put some ads in the content, but I didn't hold the site long enough to experiment with that. One thing
Right.
I did do that I didn't mention in the video was I used the heat map to kind of validate where things should go. And it was almost completely opposite of what I expected.
Exactly, exactly. And something like
So
Hotjar.
I was not using Hotjar. I use Hotjar now. I just used a WordPress plugin that totally killed the performance of my website.
Right,
But the data that I got for just like those couple days of running it was super interesting. But Hotjar is awesome.
right, right. Yeah, because you often have these expectations of what people do on your site, of how you would do it. But then it kind of ends up being exactly the opposite in most cases. For
Exactly.
example, even on a lot of my affiliate sites, on Hotjar, I noticed that there were a ton of clicks on the actual picture. I never put affiliate links on a picture. So I just started affiliate links to put them on pictures on the featured image, or just like product pictures, and
Yeah.
the click-through rate, I believe it jumped up like 120%, something like that.
It's unbelievable how many people click on photos. What I see a lot in my tech site is when I bought it was if you clicked on the photo, it would open up the photo in its own web page,
Lightbox,
but not in a new tab.
right?
So now the person's out of the article. So that was something else that I think I mentioned on that list was I don't think I specifically mentioned fixing the pictures from opening, um, but changing everything. Make sure when someone clicks on a link, it opens them in a new tab and doesn't navigate them away from the current window.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a very good
That was
practice that you kind of set automatically for external links outside of your
mhm.
site to be opened in a new tab automatically.
Yeah.
Speaking of what you should have done now that you have more experience, what would you have done or added now if you had the chance to that site to grow it even further?
I would have added more product reviews about technical, like tech add-ons that you can have.
Hmm.
So a 3D printer is pretty difficult to rank for like a review because it's there's a lot of content around it.
Right.
But a specific like piece or an add-on or like a bag to carry your lipo batteries in, those sorts of product reviews that get decent search volume but not a lot of attention, I think we're hitting a gold mine that I just started dabbling in. So this is interesting. I still had my FBA business when I bought the website.
Right.
And one of the products I sold was a fire resistant bag that could double as a lipo battery bag. Well, my tech website was already talking about batteries and things like that. So I created a product review targeting, I think it was like best fire resistant bag. And that was like a search term, like 1,000 searches a month on Ahrefs with a keyword difficulty of 0. So I wrote a product review of my own product on the website to see if I could send people to my FBA product. And it worked because I had all the tracking links.
Right.
But then also, if they didn't buy my bag and they bought a competitor's, I still made the affiliate commission.
Right. Right.
So that was very interesting. And to date, I don't sell that. I don't sell on Amazon anymore, but the link is still there through my Bitly account, and it has over like 3,000 clicks to my Fire Bag product.
Amazing.
So it's very interesting.
And the FBA business, you ended up like quitting or selling it, or?
I just ended up quitting it.
Right.
I dissolved it. Now looking back, I wish maybe I would have held it for a little bit longer and sold it. But that the FBA landscape is very competitive and cutthroat. I was not a fan of it, so I just ended up phasing out.
Mm-hmm. And what was your experience like selling the site? Any tips, suggestions to anyone here that might be?
Yeah. So I, of course, resold it with Empire Flippers because I had such a great experience buying it. And the morning it went live, again for 85,000 or so, I think I had like 8 to 10 deposits on it. Within 24 hours, there was a deal pending, and within 48 hours, it was marked as sold.
What?
So they a company offered, I think, 70,000. I came back to like 80, and then I think they came back to like 79, and that's where we ended within 48 hours.
Right.
So that was pretty great. So some tips I
low
think.
balling is actually a thing on empires. I keep noticing more and more. People just low ball and see if it works out.
I don't know if I would call that a low ball offer, but might as well ask a realistically low number, and you never know what will happen. So I offered 49,000 on the website I bought. It was listed at 65.
Right.
I don't know if I would call it a low ball, but it was a low offer, but he accepted it because he wanted the cash and just wanted to sell it.
Interesting.
If I had come in at maybe 45 or 40, he probably would have said no, but it was just at that price point where it's like low, but not low enough where the person walks away, in my opinion.
And what was the multiple on the one you bought?
I think it was 32.
32? Yeah, that's pretty
And then
good.
when I relisted it, I think they gave me a 34 multiple.
Nice.
So I was able to make a little appreciation there. But so some tips for people that are looking to sell, one of which is being at your computer when your website goes live if you're going with Empire Flippers, because you'll get an influx of depositors and you need to add them to your Google Analytics account. So doing that quickly so they can start their due diligence is really important. And then also being around your phone or email for the next 24 to 48 hours, because the Empire Flippers brokers will have questions from buyers, and you want to be available to take calls and answer those questions. Because I'm a big believer to strike while like the iron's hot and when the momentum is high.
Right.
So if you start dragging your feet, it's sales. Yeah. A seller or a buyer, if a seller drags his feet, the buyer's going to be like, well, if I really want this, they might lose motivation. So keep the motivation level up by having quick responses. And then once you enter migration, you're going to need to give access to all of your affiliate accounts and all of your accounts to Empire Flippers. So I had all my passwords and everything written down in a booklet where I could quickly reference everything rather than having to try to go back, remember my password, setting a new password. It just made it very quick and painless for me. I was able to just get them everything they needed.
Or I also hear that LastPass is a great option for them. They really prefer it.
Yes.
That you can just share all the passwords with kind of like providing them access to them.
Yeah. So I've gone over to LastPass now, starting this year. Again, I was very rudimentary when I was getting into all of this. I was pen and paper and things.
And so what did you end up doing after you sold the site? What you're doing now, future plans, etc.?
So actually, when I was in escrow to close on that site, I was like, well, this was so much fun. I don't want to be websiteless. Uh, and I had a unique story I wanted to share. So I started to look for websites in the personal finance niche. And I just started to cold email people that I saw had personal finance websites that had decent traffic, uh, 4,000 people a month or so, but that were stagnant. I looked and I saw they posted 6 months ago. So I knew they weren't active. And I started emailing them to see if they'd be interested in selling. And sure enough, I sent 20 or so emails and I think I got 3 replies that people were interested. And I ended up buying moneynomad.com, which I've owned now since 2018. And instead of having to build a website up, I was able to come right into a website that already had traffic and start putting my stories about Amazon selling, website flipping on there, which has proven to be a really good call because I was able to get traffic flowing right away.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Money Nomad is now basically the main thing that you're working on, or you also have some side projects?
So that's funny because it was the main thing for about 6 months. And I'm like, well, I'm getting bored. I need more side
Right.
projects. So after I bought Money Nomad, that's when I really started to dig into SEO. I consumed all of Hrefs blog content, Sam O's videos, and I learned so much. It's unbelievable. So if you're listening and you need to learn more about SEO, I personally recommend consuming all of Hrefs content. But in learning everything about SEO that I did, I came up with, well, I want to get into lead gen. That seems like a really interesting niche and it can be highly profitable. So I'm a big enthusiast for boating and fishing. So I created a boat related website that's lead gen based. And
Mm-hmm.
within 6 months, it gets about 3,000 people a month to the website. Um, and I collect those leads for people that are interested in buying, and then I distribute them to people that can benefit from those leads. And just recently, last month, I've now started a similar site, but in the automotive industry or the automotive space.
Right, right.
So,
So
so I want to try lead
did you
gen.
kind of buy that? So let's just maybe focus on the fishing one.
Yeah,
Did you buy that site or establish it from like an expired domain, fresh domain?
it was a fresh domain. So both of my lead gen sites were fresh domains that I started from scratch. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, well, I know I can build a site up that was pre-existing, but can I truly, is my SEO skills now good enough to actually build a site from scratch? Which the fishing boat site was actually a test, and it has exceeded all my expectations. So the answer is yes. My limited SEO skills were good enough to organically rank a website, uh, and now it's like kind of the sky's the limit, in my opinion. So I'm just doing these little test sites here and there to see what's going to happen, what niche industry might be the most profitable, and analyze and see what happens.
Right. And so how does it work exactly? What kind of I know that for real estate, for example, you can sell real estate leads. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
understand how you can do that in fishing without revealing your niche and the details, of course.
Yeah, so it's a fishing boat website. So it's a website that lists fishing boats for sale,
Right.
a specific brand of fishing boats that is highly searched,
Mm-hmm.
and that I have a lot of knowledge about because I'm a saltwater fisherman. And there are people that sell boats for a living and that can use these leads to build up their client base, much like real estate. So it's exactly like real estate, but boats instead of houses,
So
if
it's
that
more
makes
niche
sense.
down, and because of that, it's less competitive.
But it also means there's less volume and things like that. So there's pros and cons to
Of
both sides
course.
of it. But that's why I used it as an SEO test, was because it was less competitive. I could rank quicker to prove or disprove some of my theories and thinking.
Mm-hmm. And to actually get the lead, I'm guessing you have some kind of an opt-in, get offer now, something like that.
That's correct. So there's a contact form. It says, "Hey, I'm interested in this boat." They submit it, and then I can distribute it. And then because it was a test, the phone numbers on the website actually go directly to the person. I'm not tracking those. I need to now do a system where the phone numbers are tracked
Mm-hmm.
so that I can see what conversions are going through phones. But again, it was simply a test. So I wanted the quickest way I could get to market was leaving the phone number as is and just having an opt-in box.
Mm-hmm. And you've been in this testing phase of the lead gen for about 3 months now?
No, it took about 3 months to rank. I've
Right.
now owned the site for almost a year. So I've been just busy with lots of things. And I wanted to see how the traffic would actually. Now I have almost 12 months worth of data to analyze. So I should really be out of the testing phase and really into the full-fledged operating phase. So that's something I need to work on. But it's interesting to see. So the traffic was extremely flat for about 3 months. Then all of a sudden, like overnight, it just spiked, got on the first page for the keyword I was ranking for. I was there for about a month, and then it dropped me for a couple weeks. And then I came back, and it's been a pretty drastic slope up ever since then for now months now.
Right.
So it's just
Even through the update?
interesting. Even through the update, it's actually gone
Awesome.
up after the
Awesome.
update.
Awesome.
So speaking of the update, do you know much about it?
To be honest, it's been all over the place. From my experience, just looking at some of the clients in the portfolio, a lot of kind of like smaller niche sites have gone up, so a big boost.
Yeah.
Especially the more like topically relevant they are, um, and the more relevant the links are, the higher they kind of started to go in terms of the traffic, the
Mm,
positions. Actually, a few sites of mine that were kind of stuck just now kind of pushed up through the plateau, which
really?
is really good. But then I also noticed that a lot of these bigger authority sites that cover like a wider aspect of the niche, so it's not super niche
Yeah.
down, have kind of been hit. But then again, about 10 to 14 days after the update, they kind of started climbing back up. So they're down like maybe 10, 15, 20% at max. So it's
Yeah.
super interesting, and I'm still looking forward to someone releasing like a super in-depth case study. But
Totally.
yeah, still waiting.
Well, that's interesting because like the boat website is extremely niche. Traffic went up. Money Nomad is somewhat niche, but it's all kind of there's some the previous owner wrote about different topics than I read about, of course, and that took a little bit of a hit. But like you said, within 2 weeks it had almost recovered, and now it's only down about 4% or so from I think it took like a 15% hit and then climbed back up to about down 4%.
Right, right.
So I need to use Ahrefs and see and look at some of these big topic websites and see how their traffic trend looks. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's super interesting because then you have some huge sites that are all over the place. Some got hit, some didn't, some are doing better than ever. It's you can't really kind of understand it, which is funny, like part of the
The, the,
game.
the ever changing Google algorithm, right?
Exactly, exactly. Cool, man. This was super good. Before we wrap up, any suggestions, resources that really helped you? As you already mentioned, Ahrefs, and to anyone listening, Ahrefs, their blog is absolutely fantastic,
Yeah.
especially their blogging for business. I think it recently went free, and
Yeah.
in my opinion, one of the top resources online. Maybe any books, videos, resources, courses that you would want to share?
So mentioning blogging for business by Ahrefs, actually, that was the first piece of content that I really consumed, and I took notes on the entire course. So Tim, is it Sulu?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, he put on the course, and when I saw it was free, they made it paid, and now it's free again. But I took notes on the entire thing, which really drove the points home mentally for me. So if you're watching, if you can actually take notes, whether written or typed, I think that would be super beneficial. And then you have like a quick reference guide too, if you ever need it. Um, I created a website buyer's checklist with that. It's basically a mental checklist that I would do when I was looking to buy a website, but I typed it out and it's just kind of all my thoughts compiled in like a 3 page list. So we'll have a link to the description, I think you said, but that's on
For
Money
sure.
Nomad that you can download. So you'll link to that.
What would be some of the points from the buyer's checklist, maybe? If you can just think of it from the top of your head.
Yeah. So is the seller, are they a seasoned vet of flipping websites, or are they the original owner and they made the website purely for a passion project? Well, if they're a serial flipper, that probably means that a lot of low hanging fruit opportunities are gone. So as a buyer, you now need to find some other opportunities. But if they're just built it as a passion project and didn't really understand business, well, then there might be a lot of opportunities to buy it. So it's just these sort of just mental
Right, right.
tidbits.
Any good ways that you can use to identify if they're like a flipper versus someone that started it as a passionate project? Maybe just looking at their history on Empire Flippers.
You can look at their history or you just ask them and you're like, do you own
Right,
multiple websites? Maybe don't ask them, hey, do you flip websites? But do you own
right.
multiple websites? What's your website experience? And it usually comes out. One thing that I've found, another thing that I put in the document is when people make a deposit on your website, you are sent their email to add to Google Analytics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of people just have their name at gmail.com, but some people have their name at and then their company domain. So I would take that company domain and paste it in and see, okay, who is this person depositing on my website, which may change how you negotiate with them, uh, depending on which company they're representing.
Right.
So
That's super interesting. Yeah, I'll link the buyer's guide below. To everyone that's listening, watching the video, I would highly encourage you to just check out the video that we just kind of covered here, and all of the other content bits that you have on your YouTube, as well as the blog. Super informative. And yeah, this has been a pleasure. Thanks so much for taking the time. If
yes,
people want to reach out, what's the best way for them to do so?
they can email me, Zach@moneynomad.com, and Zach is spelled Zach. I also want to give a shout out to Spencer Haas over at Niche Pursuits. Without his content that I read in 2017-18, you and I would not be having this conversation today. So for anybody that's looking for website content, his website Niche Pursuits is also an awesome resource.
For sure, for sure. Cool, man. Yeah, I'll link all the resources below. Thanks again for taking the
Great.
time. Hope it was a good conversation for you as well. And yeah, hopefully we can do another one soon.
It definitely was, and I hope that your viewers found it insightful. So thank you for your time and the opportunity.